So basic fundamentals of the throw. First and foremost, you have to be behind the front line of the board. Now everybody's got a habitual line stepper friend out there. Don't be that person, okay? Make sure you stay behind the line. I'd much rather you beat people from 2 or 3 inches behind the line than always be sneaking up and having your buddies, you know, think you're a shyster. So stable feet, that is a key to cornhole. I use left foot forward. Some people will go right foot forward and throw this way. Some people, really good players, will step into the throw. And that's perfectly fine if that's what you need to get the bag to the boards very comfortably. I don't want you to think you need to be so stable and then trying to chuck the bags. That's not going to be good for consistency. The other thing is, when we hold the bag, I want the thing to be releasing off your hand very comfortably. If you have any tension in your hand or you're trying to guide that bag, it's not going to be any good. If you think about it the same way you would think about tossing a softball to home plate, it's just a nice, relaxed throw. We need the bag to come off your hand in that same way. Now, the other thing we need the bag to do is we need it to come off flat or parallel to the ground. The flatter the toss of the bag, the more consistently it's going to slide into the hole when it hits the boards. So that means there's a certain couple of ways to hold it. We don't want to hold the thing, you know, dirty diaper style and fling it out there. We don't want to ball it up and then let go of it, because then when that thing unballs, it's like a big parachute and it moves around in the air. It doesn't land consistently. So the way I do it is I put my fingers about halfway through the backside of the bag, thumb right on top, so that it's kind of weighted, balanced in my hand. I even turn my seams to the same side of the bag every time. I want everything to be as consistent as possible. So when we do that and we get a good grip on the bag, you can put your finger on the end, you may move your hand around just a little bit, but get a comfortable grip on the bag, get a good stable base in our feet, and we want to release this bag in such a way that as our hand comes up, it sort of turns a little bit palm to the sky, and that's going to allow the bag to flatten out and fly really. Get here, put your eyes on the hole, and try to turn the palm of your hand right to the front of the hole there. And it's going to get us into a position where we can at least get the thing landing near or on the boards every time. Okay, so this is a real simple drill to help you work on how the bag comes off your hand. I've scooted up, I'm only about 7-8 feet from this board right now. It's a really close distance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on throwing bags, and all I'm trying to do is make them land as flat as possible on that board. So I'm going to make a bunch of really easy little short throws, and we're going to try to land these bags as flat as possible. So remember the grip we talked about? Fingers in the center of the bag, thumb on top, and then just try to land them on the board flat. Okay, not too bad. Most of those are landing pretty flat. As I get better at this, I can scoot back a few feet, then scoot back a few more feet, keep moving back until it feels really easy to let that bag come off your hand and be flat parallel to the ground. Two of the shots that you need to have in order to be good at cornhole, or to play cornhole well, I don't know how you, okay, is a shot that slides into the hole, and then an airmail shot, one that drops and lands softly. So now I've moved back to a more competitive distance, around 27 feet here, and I'm going to do two things. I'm going to do some drills where I'm working on landing the bags short on the board and keeping them at the front of the board, and then I'm also going to do some where I'm trying to land them in the hole, so I learn to control how far I toss those bags in the air. So we'll start with some sliders, and you'll notice that if you control your trajectory well, they will all land and skid the same amount on the boards. It also depends a little on how fast the boards are. Some are more slick than others. But what we need to learn is how high to throw these to get them to stay on the boards. You'll figure that out hopefully within a few throws, depending on what type of bags you're playing with and how slick those boards are. So we'll go for shorties first. Just trying to land them on the front of the board.
Ooh, you suck!
Okay, not too bad. 3 out of 4 is okay. All of them stayed short of halfway up the boards. That's a good sign. Now we're gonna go grab those. We're gonna try it again with a little more of a slide. And slides into the hole a little bit more. So this time I've got to bring my trajectory down a little bit so that the board bag will hit at the front of the board and skid into the hole. So I work on these, kind of aiming at that darker wood part of my boards there, and I keep an eye on the hole, and I'm just trying to throw them a little flatter and let them skid up the boards.
You suck, you jackass.
Okay, so those landed a little closer to the front. Had one come up short. It's part of the game. It's going to happen. But we've got them skidding a little more. I brought the trajectory down. Now the next step is working on dropping them dead on the hole. All right, here we go. So now this is the airmail shot, they call it. And honestly, this is a very difficult shot. This has to be really precise. The hole takes up about 2.5% of that board. So you have to drop this thing perfectly in there to get it to go in. Pros might make 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 of these. So if you can get where you're just landing it close to that hole every time, you're doing pretty well, but it's also helping you learn to control your distance if you get close, okay? So we're just trying to, I don't really care if you make these, but we're just working on trying to land them on the board right at the distance of the hole, or as close as possible. Little right, little left, had one that went in, but essentially all those landed at the right distance. And if I can come back this far and get pretty good at that, then chances are pretty good that when I'm actually playing the game, I'm going to have good control of how my bags fly. One of the most important shots you can learn in cornhole is the push shot. Now you'll see, as my lovely assistant comes into view here, I've got my orange bag in front of the hole. My opponent has bags on either side. If I can throw a low trajectory bag that rockets in there, I can hit both of them in or push that one in so that I don't have to try to airmail these, which is a much more difficult shot. So again, we go with a low, flat trajectory and we try to push that bag into the hole. Hopefully, if you hit them dead square, it'll push that one in and the bag that you throw will follow it in, or it'll sit in front of the hole so you can try to push the next one. Basic Cornhole 101 strategy is very, very simple. First of all, just get the bags on the boards. If you are consistently throwing bags on the boards, you're going to beat most of the people you'll ever play. However, there are going to be times when you play against somebody who's gaining points on you and they're getting in a little bit more of a rhythm and you can't keep up. In that case, switch to plan B, which is just throw some blockers out there and make them uncomfortable. Get them out of their flow. You're going to notice people who are throwing well, they just get a really nice rhythm. You'll see in the video here when I made the 4 in a row, every throw had the same exact kind of rhythm to it. Just make them think a little bit. So in a scenario like this, if the blue guy's been kicking my butt, all I want to do is throw an orange one right at the point of that darker wood spot and make him have to go around me, make him have to go over, or he's going to have to start trying to just land him on the front, which is a much more difficult throw. So if you're ahead and you're getting them on the board and you keep pulling ahead, just keep doing what you're doing. If you find that you're falling behind, throw some blockers out there, make them think about